Hey guys, Tom Zapolsky here. I'm your board president, and oftentimes I make videos to let you know about an issue in the community or an activity that's going on, or perhaps we have a board meeting, and I'll do a quick recap just so folks know, kind of what's up. But today is Tuesday, the 16th of January, and in 2 days, on Thursday, we're having a board meeting, and one of the items on there are of absolute extreme importance to the community on many levels, but I want to break it down for you real quick so that your eyes are wide open, and that you take action, that you reach out to board members in support of or opposition to various policies. I'll tell you, the way I reach out to board members is respectfully. So if you see someone advocating for a position, I hope that we please remember we're neighbors. Even the members of the board with which I disagree on this particular subject, I know to be good people, and when we get through this, everything's fine. We have more work to do in the community. So in no way is this personal. What you have is 9 individuals trying to figure out how to do what's best for the community. So let's jump in here real quick. The issue is with regard to fire lane, emergency vehicle access, and painted lines. I call it that because it's been called all those things for many months. I want to make sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. One of the solutions that's being considered in a position of which I oppose, and I want to be real clear here on how I approach you today, is I am your board president, but I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. My opinions here are mine. And for those who think, I've had a an owner to say, I can't believe you're opposing the board, or how'd you share your opinion? The board president is one vote. I don't have a superpower or super majority. I don't have any special courtesies that I get to use. And so it's okay and appropriate to share my opinion because I represent a huge number of owners, and they expect me to stand up and advocate on what I believe to be best for the community, just like all the other board members. So from here forward, this is my opinion on the subject, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. There is a motion that I suspect will be made surrounding a policy that will be in the board packet that involves banning parking on our roads in order to come into full compliance with Florida statute and the Florida Fire Code. We had an attorney come into our community in December to talk to us about the various options. So before any of you say the board can't do that, that would be change of use. We have to vote. Even though I oppose that motion and will vote no on anything like that, period. Believe me when I tell you the board totally has the power to do it. So rather than oppose it using that, I would rather you share your thoughts on other areas. I oppose that because I believe the same thing could be accomplished. We can ensure that emergency vehicles can get through if we modify our rules slightly, like just clarify them. There is, admittedly, looking at the parking rules now, I could see some confusion and people jockey and juke and break the rules, right? They I have a licensed vehicle as a moped hid up behind my boat. And you know what? Those people are right. They're within the rules. But I think we clean up our rules and tighten those up, and then we use steady, consistent enforcement. And enforcement looks like warnings. Did you know there's a time in our community that warnings are totally appropriate and okay, right? That we use tickets, but the tickets have a monetary value to them. We have a process we can send the ticket to and ding you 100 times every time you break the rule, up to 10 times, not to exceed $1,000. So we can ticket the heck out of folks. And they can never pay, and a lien will be put on their property, and when they sell, we'll collect $1,000 20 years from now. All right? So ticketing and warnings and tickets, and yes, towing. And I'll submit to you that to avoid banning parking, we all, as a community, must say we're willing to do our best to comply with the rules and the spirit of the rules, and that we recognize we're going to have family members or rental guests who come in and blatantly break the rules, or that, shucks, we forgot to tell them about the rules. It's not going to be the community's fault. Okay, we're going to do our part to make sure folks know, but if you have anybody come into your house, their behavior while they're there is your responsibility as an owner, not securities, and not even really your rental agents. I don't want to get off track here. We can use warnings, ticketing, and towing as a way to have people comply and ensure that our roads are open. We won't be, this is not feasible. I want you to hear this so you understand that if we use that method, we're not going to knock on the door for 20 minutes and call the rental agent and then call their mom and see if their cousin's home, or maybe they're at the beach, or maybe they're getting engaged. Everybody has an extreme situation, right? Like in particular during our busy seasons, there's no room for all that. And so you might get a warning, okay? And then the vehicle's towed. And I assure you that those tows will probably be limited to, I bet, a half a dozen. I bet you about a half a dozen to a dozen in any given year out of the thousands of owners. Most of it will be resolved with notices and tickets, and then towing is an option as well. Okay? Now, we must try this. I believe our community is capable of it, and I believe banning parking on the streets is not a viable solution. We have virtually no overflow parking. It creates an issue for many, many owners. And I'm not talking about like a dozen owners. Hundreds of owners are going to come to the community this year for the first time, having missed all of this, not paying attention to anything. And they're going to show up and park in front of their house, and they're going to get a notice of towing. And here's the irony of it all. If you ban parking, guess how you enforce it? Ticketing and towing. But the opposition will say, well, ticketing and towing won't work. Ticketing and towing are the teeth. All right? Now, granted, it's easy to see, well, that car's on the street. It's in violation. There are circumstances where there's 2 cars parked. How do you make that call? We have to work that out as a community. It's okay that it's hard, and I think it's okay that it's difficult to enforce, because banning parking cannot be the solution. It cannot be the solution that we seek out as a community. And let's take this a little bit further and just use loose data. They make a log of the tickets that are given that I can see. We've all driven around the community. 735 units. If you drove around the community today, you would probably be very difficult to, even if you had a tennis ball and wanted to throw it at a car when you rode by, it'd be hard to find one in the street, on every street, right? Even during the busy season, over this past Labor Day, I took an inventory of vehicles that needed a warning or a ticket and possible towing out of 735 on various times, morning, evening, day, Saturday, Sunday, all the thing. I came up between 8 and 12 vehicles at any given time in the whole community. Do you know that represents less than 2%? Less than 2% of people are in violation. Yet we're considering a solution that's going to impact 100%? And let me tell you how this impacts 100%. I have plenty of parking on my site. Just as a side note, if you're like, why is he advocating for this? It's because I see what it's going to do to the community. I see what the impact in a negative way it's going to have on others. I have 3 parking spots in my driveway, and I can add another. I'm totally okay. So I have no personal gain from this. My situation doesn't improve as an owner if they ban parking on the roads. Doesn't change at all. But I see what it's going to do to so many others. Okay? And when I see us, here's the way it has 100% impact on me. If I do want to use overflow parking, if I have friends coming in for the afternoon, or my brother's coming to stay with me, and my wife and I have our cars and the golf cart in the driveway, everybody in the park that lives there is pushed out an overflow like that. And it basically eliminates overflow parking immediately. And we have some ideas on how to expand it, but those take time. And we're talking about adding 40 spaces or 30 or 50. I mean, there's no real overflow parking solution. So my appeal to my fellow board members and my appeal to owners is that we band together and we recognize all of this sucks. I wish we didn't have to deal with any of it. However, banning parking cannot be our first step towards a solution. I mean, we take this on seriously as a board. Like last July, we go through a holiday that was fairly successful using flyers and rules. Super light crowds, totally admit it, but it worked. All right. We examine this through the fall. We speak with our attorney, and here we are at a decision. And the first decision we're going to make is the ban parking. When we could achieve the same legal footing, we can achieve access for emergency vehicles using ticketing, towing, and these other rules, these other policies. So that's where this issue is. I think we have two choices: ban parking in the community. That's what I'm seeing. I don't think it's a choice, but it's going to be one we talk about. Or as a community saying, we're going to be adults. It's a new day. We have very strict parking rules. This doesn't impact anyone's vacation. No one's mean. It's just a community standard. Do you know we made a community standard asking people to move their tents down the beach to the left? We didn't make a rule. Whisper. We didn't make a rule. We just recommended it. And overwhelmingly, all the tents just moved to the left. Our rental guests, our owners, and you always find that guy is like, I don't care, right? And he parks his tent right down the front. Now, in fairness to people, we have had people with mobility issues or going through cancer treatment, or there's a lot of reasons why we shouldn't judge. It might be a pregnant mom that's a long walk down the beach, so they decided just to put the tent there. So there are extenuating circumstances in that case. But I would assure you that if you just look at that as an example, like 95, 98% compliance, and you always have a single digit number of people who are going to push or break the rules, so you just handle those people. You don't punish the rest of the community. So please pay attention on Thursday evening. I will tell you the tone for this meeting will be respectful. I will hear from any owner up until the point of them being disrespectful to any one of my board members. I don't care if I disagree with them or not. The one power I have is controlling that meeting, and we're going to conduct the business of the community in a way that's respectful, okay? To my fellow board members who watch this and disagree with my position, I understand you and I hear you. We disagree here, and I'm going to work very hard to try and move us towards a more reasonable approach, at least for this first attempt, this first season. If we get to the end of it and it was ineffective, or we believe there were profound issues that make that something that we can't continue, then the board at that time can ban parking. You can do it. You can do it now. You can do it later. My case here is let's do it later. So thanks for hanging out on this long video. I appreciate your time and attention. Again, we're going to move through this and forward as a community. I just want to make sure everybody's heads up. Thanks.